podcast is powered by Audiohaus Dublin.
Since I was like, okay, so I kind of, I took a deep breath and I'm like, if I sold my soul, it's not such a high price, It was okay. It was okay.
Welcome back to the Monks in the Trunk. We're here with Luis.
How's it going, guys? How are you doing?
All good. How about you?
Oh, good. We're finally here after being stuck in traffic for an hour, but it's all good. We made it.
So we've been trying to get you on for ages. It's just never worked out. You with your new job and all that good stuff, But
yeah. But that I've been trying ever since we met, and I heard about your idea of doing this. It was always so cool and so appealing to me to just come and support you guys and see what's the story and what's the crack with you over here. And we'll be actually trying to do this for what, 2 months or something?
Ages. We've been trying to set this up for a while.
Jesus.
But just tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? All that good stuff.
Luis, here comes the existential questions. Who are you? Who are you? What are you doing? Guys, well, my name is Luis. I am a barista trainer, coffee specialist, and whatever you want to call it. I'm originally from Venezuela. I've been living in Dublin for 5 years already. Ended up in the coffee industry by accident. So maybe Mikola knows me a little bit more. I don't know if you know a little bit of my story, James. But
I have the outlines.
Just a little bit. But so we ended up... I ended up getting a job in the coffee industry by accident. I needed to pay the bills, okay? And when I came here, I couldn't get a job as an engineer, and I actually wanted to try something different. So I thought I could be a bartender, but in this country we drink a lot, so it's not so nice to work at night. And then I ended up doing a super cheap barista course. Got a job for an Irish franchise, and then I spent 2 years with them. I ended up developing some skills that I didn't know I had. So I ended up going to national coffee competitions such as the Latte Art Championship Barista. I did Aeropress, and most recently I've been judged for a couple of national competitions as well. And so that's the overview, okay? And then after working for that franchise for a couple of years, I moved on to Dublin Barista School, which is where we met. And then I was a training manager over there. So basically for 3 years, I moved on from working just as a barista serving coffee in a coffee shop to train people. And I have to say that was a great time in my life because I had the opportunity to train I could say thousands of people over 3 years. And I felt it when I go out and when I'm on the streets and stuff. And when you go to a coffee shop and when you go to a random place and you see somebody that you were training, that's actually so rewarding. And but it was time for me to move on. And this opportunity to work for Java Republic came in. So Java Republic, it's one of the biggest coffee companies in the country. And now I am part of the quality control team. I'm a barista trainer and coffee consultant as well. So, recently, just to summarize the whole thing, I just came back from Athens in Greece, and I was doing a formal Specialty Coffee Association certification, which allows me to be a certified trainer in the world technically, so I can be a barista and teach the Specialty Coffee Association courses in a professional and formal way. So
that's
wow,
that's
fair
a
play.
cool story.
That sounds good, yeah.
But that's what I used to always see the coasters. I used to always see on your stories all these people you were training in Dublin Barista School.
Yeah.
And now I walk into coffee shops as well, and I'm like, I've seen you before somewhere.
I've seen you before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me that's been amazing. It has given me so many rewarding moments when you go out there and then you see people that you were training and people recognizes you. That feels so cool, to be honest with you. And then you get other people as well who are opening their own coffee shops, or people who are traveling.
Yeah.
And then you get people texting you from Malaysia or something. Hey, Luis, do you remember me? Like, I'm here working in my coffee shop. Look at this. And I got a text the other day from a guy in Seattle and in Vancouver. So it's so cool. It's so cool, really. So, but here we go. So I ended up doing something completely different with my life. So,
Initially an engineer, right? In Venezuela.
Yeah, correct. So I went to college for 5 years. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I worked as an engineer back in Venezuela for around 3 years. But as you are aware, the situation of my country is pretty bad. So when I decided to leave the country, I was kind of unemployed for a year. And then I had different options in my mind. I was planning to move to Colombia. I had Spain in mind as well because of the language.
Yeah.
And then I had Sydney as an option. But all of them was like, I didn't want to be in a place where I had to speak in Spanish, so I could speak English. And then, and Sydney was too far. I said, I'm not going to see my family ever again. So, and then out of nowhere, Ireland came on the table, and I'm like, dude, I'm in Europe. It's it's an European capital. These people speak English, and the Cliffs of Moher, and you too, and whatever. That's all I knew about Ireland. it's kind of like a year. I swear to you, and please don't laugh about me about this, okay? But like 2 years after I was living here, this song from Westlife, yes, you can start laughing right now. This song from Westlife came on the radio, and I'm like, oh man, I do remember these guys were huge in Latin America and whatever. Oh yeah, that this video they filmed that video on the Cliffs of Moher. I mean, what do you mean? Yeah, do you know that they're Irish, right? No. What do you mean Westlife is they're Irish? Yeah, so that was a moment. That was a moment right there. Yeah, so stop laughing, please, bro. Yeah, it's random stuff, But hey, I'm used to the rain already, so.
Yeah, of course.
So cool.
Only takes about 2 weeks. Yeah. Every second day you're flying.
2 weeks, you're either desperate and try to kill yourself to get yourself in the next plane back, or you just get used to being wet all the time.
That's it. Yeah, it's a lifestyle,
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. So cool. Yeah,
and that must have been some transition between sort of the engineering mindset and the barista mindset. Do you think there are things you carried over from the training as an engineer?
Yeah. Obviously, when you work as an engineer, there are different aspects of your work that you might kind of apply to coffee, so to speak. But the thing is that we engineers, we are defined as professionals who are able to solve problems. Okay, that's it. That's the official title. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just carry that with me all the time. Okay, so I need to solve problems. I need to make a coffee fast. So we need to figure out how to make a coffee really fast. Okay. I'll have to be honest with you. When I was working for this national franchise, I didn't connect. I think I wasn't trying to connect engineering with coffee at all. And then when I started teaching, I actually discovered that I could do something that I wasn't aware that I could do.
Yeah.
But now that I'm working for a bigger company which works actually more like a corporate, like an organization, now I bring back some of those memories from engineering, how to work with a company, how to be organized, how to understand the chain of command and all of these things. So I feel that actually now everything makes sense and everything comes full circle now, because it's like, oh yeah, okay, so I am still in the coffee industry, but I'm doing a job that requires some of what I did in college, and it's actually quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't
Yeah.
waste it.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as wasted personal investment.
Yeah.
I don't think. As long as you're putting time and effort into developing yourself, you can't
Yeah.
go wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you mentioned competitions.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the story about
Yeah,
that?
what's the story about that? Yeah.
It's kind of like what I was hearing something recently, like, oh yeah, well, you know, like these poker competitions
Yeah.
or whatever random competitions that you see out there. So people wonder all the time, like, what do you mean? Are there coffee competitions? What are you talking about, you weirdos? And then there are national and international coffee competitions. Just as there are national and international bartending competitions,
Yeah.
okay? The coffee industry, it's massive. You have no idea, okay?
It's huge recently
It
as
is
well.
huge. Like, it's been growing so much here in Ireland. There are national barista championships, so which is basically like a bartending championship, but for coffee. It's
Yeah.
extremely complicated. The level here, it's pretty high. So there's a lot of competition, so to speak. Okay, and there's also the latte art championship, which I entered 3 times in a row. I got the highest position I got was the 3rd place, so that
Wow.
year was really cool. I was in the media, and then my picture was everywhere in the coffee community, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
I think I might have cried and got really drunk that year, because if I would have won, I would have had the chance to represent Ireland in China for free.
Imagine.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
So yay, a free holidays, but no. And then Aeropress championship, Aeropress is just a method to brew coffee at home.
Okay.
So that's just for fun, kind of like.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you win, you travel around the world to brew your coffee representing Ireland. So exactly.
It's not bad.
That is actually really cool.
Yeah,
And
what's the coffee community like?
here in Ireland, it's been growing so much that it's crazy. Like, some people might even say that there's a new coffee shop opening every month or something like that. I mean, if you check my social media, you will see that I'm pretty much going to every single new coffee shop that opens, at least small independent coffee shops, because the independent community, it's growing a lot. But in this 5 years that I've been here, it's amazing to see how people have been moving from massive, big franchise to supporting something a little bit more local, more kind of an artisan,
Yeah.
and handcrafted and stuff. And I do have to say that despite a few random cases, the community, it's very close. It's very supportive to each other, okay? And then to the point that every time you go to any of these competitions or something gets organized, you see everybody coming together and stuff. So it's actually quite cool. And I'm telling you, I do feel that the market and the industry could get a little bit crowded in the next couple of years or something, because which is scary, because at the end of the day, we're still a small city, we're not such a big country. So I can probably predict that things will change a little bit, but definitely it will expand, it will grow, but it will have to change to transform into something different in order not to get saturated, So
Definitely, but if you think about it, there's too many of these shops like Starbucks and Costa.
yeah.
So, would you say the local, say like little
places.
the new setups, will they catch up with all the startups?
No,
All the
I don't think it will
Starbucks?
happen. I don't think it will happen, but it's because both of them will be targeting different markets.
Yeah.
Will be targeting complete different markets.
yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that you wonder here all the time is, like, we have so many Starbucks in Dublin that it's insane. Sometimes you're like, oh my god, there's like 4 Starbucks on
the
O'Connell
same-
Street.
Yeah.
Or something like that, You're like, the fuck? So it's like, it's crazy. And then you see them super busy all the time. And what I just mentioned before, the industry needs to transform themselves, needs to evolve.
Yeah.
So what is Starbucks doing? And that's actually a kind of like an interesting subject. Starbucks had a really, really difficult time trying to open a coffee shop in Italy. You know, the Italians, they consider themselves the masters of espresso, the coffee connoisseurs, and all of this, okay? So pretty much Italian people and Italy itself was like, get away from here. We don't want your coffee. Okay, fuck off. And they, as a company, as a multi-billion company or whatever, they said, no, we're going to open a coffee shop and we're going to open a roastery. And they chose Milan. I don't know why. So Milan, and even the most, skeptic person in the coffee industry, the most purist ones or whatever, who have visited the Starbucks roastery in Milan are just mind blown. Okay, when I've seen the videos, I've seen the pictures, and these people just did the unthinkable. They did the traditional meets the new, the artisan meets the corporate, meets everything. So it became an experience. It's like if you go to New York or something and you go to the Hershey stores or something like that. Yeah. So this thing happened over there. So I do feel that probably smaller places will have to catch up in some way with bigger companies. Yeah. But competition is so fierce that bigger companies will have to also become a little bit more handcrafted, more approachable in terms of what they're doing, and less corporate at some stage.
And what's Java Republic like?
We are like, that's very, very interesting, because one of the things that as an outsider, when I was looking at the company, I was thinking this is another big company, and so I have to be honest with you, I faced some of that. Oh, you sell your soul to the devil, didn't you? Didn't you? You sold your soul to the devil. And I'm like, no. But why? Because I was lucky enough to be trained by the guy who I was going to replace. I didn't know he was leaving. I thought that he was going to be... It's a very well-trained guy with international certifications and everything. And he was moving on to work for the Specialty Coffee Association. And then he told me he was leaving after I got hired. And he was like, I need you to carry on with the legacy. And I'm like, you bastards. And then, but he trained me. And then when I understood things from the inside, I understood how they roast the coffee, how they approach everything, how they bring back some of the resources and everything that we do back to the communities in developing countries and stuff, coffee producing countries.
And what sort of countries? Like
we're going to, let me tell you 1 second, boss. And when I saw the way how they roast the coffee, how they produce everything, and all the quality steps that are behind the scenes, I was like, okay, so I kind of, I took a deep breath, and I'm like, if I sold my soul, it's not such a high price, It was okay. And then, so we are currently working directly with some farmers in Rwanda. So part of what I've heard is that the company didn't want to become some sort of a charity company, trying to raise money and so on. But they wanted to help. So the idea was like, how can we help without actually looking like a charity or something that we're doing this? And then they decided to support the families that are working in the farms, to support them with healthcare. And so they're paying for like their health insurance back in Rwanda. Wow. And they have plans to build like a basketball court or something like that.
And they keep them employed, really.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty cool, because when we were talking about like, what are we going to talk? What are we going to say? So I mentioned the whole sustainability situation. And you told me, oh my God, that sounds really cool. So what the hell? What is that? And you'll be surprised to know how much the farmers and the people producing coffee struggles.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised. First of all, because most of these coffees are coming from developing countries, okay? Which means poor countries most of the time. And let me make a quick break over here. You know that I went to Colombia a couple of years ago. I had the opportunity to go and visit some coffee farms. And I saw everything. I saw farms that are kind of wealthy enough, so you see pools and everything. You're like, what the fuck?
The guys actually
And
making
you
money,
see people that you're like, oh my god, like how are these people doing? So you see kids going to a school in the middle of a mountain. So a school is a lady that climbs the mountain every day to kind of like teach something to these kids, okay?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that's Colombia, which is a country that's actually in a good position at the moment, and if you compare that to a country like in the middle of Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just came back from Athens to do this course, and part of the course is that everyone had to do a presentation on a specific topic. You were supposed to teach me something because the course was to certify you as a trainer.
Yeah.
So I did something which I'm like, I know this already, which was latte art. So I trained them in my techniques of what I was doing, how to pour a coffee. But then this guy came and he did a presentation on sustainability because he works directly with some farmers in Panama. Now, myself, I don't work directly with farmers. I know farmers. I've been there, whatever. But I don't work directly with them. I don't trade with them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this guy did a presentation in which we did an exercise, and the exercise was based in, I will sell you a kilo of coffee in X price. Okay, X price. Now take from that price the cost of the distributor. So you have the distributor is the person who will buy the coffee from the farmer.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, he needs to bring it to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, England, whatever. And then you have to take the price from customs and so on, whatever the coffee arrives in Dublin, blah, blah, blah. And then you obviously have your cost of production. When you take all of that and when you add whatever comes in between, the farmer almost loses money.
Really?
The farmer almost loses money. And the industry, it's demanding more and more and more cheaper prices.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can you be sustainable if you can't survive with the prices that you're trying to sell, but the consumer, it's always asking for cheaper prices. So that was something that blew my mind, whatever, because I praise on the fact that I can, like talk about the coffee chain and everything that happens in between. Like, holy shit, these people don't even have resources and stuff. So I was actually quite shocking. Yeah, to know, and that's something that we as customers or people just drinking coffee every day, we don't actually talk about. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. So
I think it's becoming a really big thing for consumers now, is to know where the coffee is coming from. And
no, I don't think only coffee. I think that
just things in general.
People are more aware of where things are coming from. Or like, and then we see it with very controversial topics like veganism and people who are vegetarian and animal rights and these kind of things. But at the same time, you're like, I want to know where this thing is coming from. I want to know how it's produced, all of that. However, in terms of coffee, there's still a long way to go. It's like you have to go, like Jesus preaching all the time about coffee so that people understand what's the story. But
100%. Like there's a lot of the industry that the consumer definitely doesn't get to see. And only from the inside could you fully understand the actual chain of how the coffee gets from farmer to cappuccino.
Yeah. And it's funny, you know what? Here's a fun fact that a lot of people don't know. From the moment you pick up the seeds from the plant to the moment you drink the coffee, it takes around 6 months.
6 months.
6 months. I basically teach about that every day.
Yeah.
And when I talk about the whole chain and everything that happens at the farm and how the beans are collected and all of this, and then the beans spend more than a month in a ship, like on the sea and whatever, and then it gets to some port in some country, dude, it takes 6 months.
Mad.
And then people can make a shitty coffee in 20 seconds, and you pay €3 for that. And that's what I do every day. Do you understand now? That's what I do every day. Now, if you add a little bit of that passion, people are like, oh, you fucking weirdo, crazy, whatever. If you add a little bit of passion, then you can actually change people's minds and understand everything from the beginning, going from sustainability, environment, and all of this to the work that we do here in order to roast the coffee very well. So please don't burn the fucking thing when you're making a cappuccino. Okay? But again, 99% of people like us have zero fucking clue about that. You go, you pay the coffee, and you don't know everything that happens behind.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Can I ask you this? You might not know about this, but you know that coffee, the most expensive coffee in the world,
which is not the most expensive one anymore, but I have the answer for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's the story?
Are you talking about the coffee that the cats shit?
No, the monkeys.
No, they're not monkeys. They're actually
cats.
cats.
Oh shit.
So it's called. Do you know what we're talking about?
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard
Okay.
articles,
So a long time ago, there was this coffee. Well, I don't know how long, but there was this coffee called Kopi Luwak. Okay, that's funny.
How do
I
you
always
spell
get
it?
that question. Luwak, it's spelled Luwik.
Luwik.
Yeah, AK, yeah. And then and copy, it's Kopi. So Kopi Luwak. And
Sweet.
then, so this coffee is from Indonesia. And in Indonesia, there's this cat which actually looks like a rat. It looks like a big rat, okay? But it's a cat. It's called a civet cat. And it's a civet cat, okay? And this coffee became famous because these cats eat the coffee fruit. Random fact, I don't know if you know that coffee is actually a fruit.
Yeah.
Okay? So they eat the coffee fruit, and they basically shit the beans, okay? But during that process in their digestive system, there is a chemical reaction occurring in which the beans are altered a little bit, and then it kind of like triggers a chemical reaction in the beans which alters the flavor. I'm not saying that the beans will taste like shit. Afterwards, they need to be washed and dried and all of this. But these people came to the realization that apparently the coffee tasted better, okay? And for some time, the coffee became the most expensive coffee in the world, and it was sold like a luxury item.
Wow.
Do you know how much? How much it was
I
selling
don't
for?
know, because I have no idea how much you will pay for Kopi Luwak at the moment.
Yeah.
But here comes the funny part. Forget about that. That's not the most expensive coffee in the world. Forget about all of this. I know some coffee farmers in Panama. Coffees from Panama are extremely famous at the moment because they are not only amazing, but they're almost sold like a luxury item. And when I say this, you will be blown the fuck away by what I'm going to say. Some coffees, they are picked into, it's kind of like if you're picking pearls or something. So they pick up the fruits in a very delicate way, and they do everything in a very specific way, making sure that the quality is just the best, okay? Then these coffees go through a system of auctions. So these people actually auction the coffee, okay? I don't know, dude. I don't know if this is done online or people actually travel to Panama to do this shit. But this year, the most expensive coffee was auctioned for like 805 pounds per 500 grams or something like that, or per kilo. No, I'm sorry, $800 per pound. So how much is a pound? A pound is like half a kilo, right?
Yeah.
So $800 per half a kilo of coffee.
That's fucking
That
crazy.
became these people got an award for that. Okay. So you have any idea how rich these people are at the moment?
Madness.
But it's not only that. To give you a perspective, you cannot sell this coffee in a coffee shop.
Oh,
You cannot sell it. How are you gonna sell it?
it's too expensive.
It is too expensive. You
Yeah.
cannot make a fucking cappuccino.
how much
So
is
you
in a
would have to
cappuccino?
sell like a mini bag of 50 grams of coffee for like a fucking €100 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
I'm talking about $800 a pound of coffee raw, unroasted. So you have to
Yeah.
add all the prices to that. That's mad.
And
It's
how
crazy.
much grams is in a coffee?
To make like a cappuccino or
Yeah.
whatever, 18 grams.
18.
18 grams.
Wow.
18 grams. So it would be a very expensive cappuccino.
Yeah, it would. Bloody hell. Imagine.
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
if you add to the equation the fact that some people have complained about animal cruelty and stuff, with the cats eating the fruit, like you will find videos on YouTube in which you see the cats are being kept in cages and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's sad. It's
Yeah, it's a bit
it's shit. Yeah.
Oh, that's pointless.
Yeah.
I mean,
This interview has been going so deeper than what I was expecting. Or I'm talking too much. I don't know.
This is
This
most
is-
of the
this
drunk.
is
This is the way it always goes.
It always go dark places.
Yeah.
Always.
That's what happens. You know, you
Not
you
all-
light,
And
not
we
like-
don't even have a pint. Thank God I'm driving, so no.
you light a few candles, you throw in the monk costumes, and you start talking about
Stop.
expensive
yeah.
coffee. That's the way it goes.
Cats
Yeah.
shitting out coffee and
That's
shit.
it, pretty
Usually
much.
happens, We get to the cats and then we're like, oh shit, it's the shitting cats again.
It's a shagging cat, so there's always going to bring back some memories. Shit and cats. But sure, look. And then... But what about
don't
you?
feed your cats coffee. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work either.
And is it the actual specific picking technique that makes the Panama coffee so
No.
expensive, or what's
No.
the key ingredient?
It's actually a brilliant question. That's a good one. There has to be different things that will make that coffee,
Yeah.
that specific coffee, so outstanding. And I would say that, and it's actually a problem for farmers. It's a problem for farmers. It's to train the pickers. So the pickers are the actual, like the laborers, the people
Yeah.
who are actually picking up the cherries. I saw these people in Colombia working for 6-7 hours on a mountain picking cherries from trees.
Yeah.
Okay, picking fruits from trees. So you have to train them to pick only the best ones.
Oh, okay.
They get paid by weight usually. So an untrained picker will pick everything.
Yeah.
And when you get to the washing station, like to peel the cherries and all of this, half of that is shit.
Yeah.
So you have to train them to pick only the best ones, which means that probably you have to pay them a little bit more.
Oh,
Okay, which means you're going to increase your prices. Other than that, you have to work the farm, you have to work the plantation, you have to actually put a little bit of love over there, and then probably plant some other trees around the plantation. I saw in Colombia people planting like banana trees and shit, like just to affect the soil, to give shade
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say.
things like that. And then I suppose just to keep extra care of the entire plantation, because otherwise it's and it requires a lot of trial and error. Like you pick up the cherries and like, what if it's shit? So you have to do trial and error. You have to roast that coffee.
Can you crossbreed somehow?
You
No?
can sometimes, like people in Colombia, they are there is association in Colombia called the National Association of like coffee pickers. I'm trying to translate that. And then they have labs and they have scientists and shit, the people who are actually like trying to not genetically modify the beans, but trying to crossbreed some coffee varieties in order to produce a higher, a better breed, so to speak. So that's actually very interesting. There's a lot of like genetics and shit involved in that. And at the moment, like the friends that I have in Colombia actually picking up the coffee, they're doing like all sorts of crazy shit. Here goes another one. Like when you pick the cherry from the tree, okay, this is like a fucking lecture on coffee. Like I'm feeling like we're gonna bring the slideshow already. So there's some people experimenting with what we call lactic fermentation.
Okay.
So it is technically that. So when you wash the beans, people add some lactose or something, and it also affects the physical and chemical reaction that occurs during that fermentation process, and it affects the flavor, increasing the quality of the coffee. So it's fucked up. Like people adding lactose.
Is it flavor that matters? Or is it like, say, caffeine levels or something like that?
Oh, dude, it's flavor.
It's flavor? It's all flavor?
It's it's all about flavor, because the caffeine content will be pretty much the same in every coffee bean, but there will be different coffee varieties, coffees coming from different places. Some beans are bigger than others, blah blah blah. Okay, but it's all about flavor. It's all about flavor. So if you do some experimentations like that, if you do experimentations in labs and shit, that experimentation, it's designed to try to generate a healthier plant, a plant that it's not gonna die, a plant that is not going to be affected by bugs and shit and all any of this. So you might lose a lot of money if you end up, losing half of your crop and shit. But at the end of the day, if you start experimenting with lactose and shit like that and whatever, so then people, you are looking for better flavors. You're looking to play with the flavors without actually adding flavors. It's not like you're adding orange juice you're not adding strawberries to a coffee. You know what I mean? It's just finding a way to kind of like generate a fermentation process, which at the end of the day, after those 4 months when you roast the coffee, it will affect the flavor.
So really you're just trying to like amplify and bring out the best of the coffee flavor itself rather than adding anything different to it.
Like you would go against the 10 commandments. You would go against everything if you add flavors to coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're not saying anything. Espresso, but we don't want to add any flavors to coffee. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you read a bag of coffee that says your coffee will taste like chocolate, hazelnut, whatever, and you know for sure that there are not flavors added to that, everything is natural. Everything depends on how the coffee was picked, where the coffee was growing, how it was blended or whatever, and how it was roasted. So all of those things will affect the final flavor that you will get in the cup. So it's like, don't say.
So what, you just sit down in front of a bag of coffee and just start roasting it, like just making fun of the coffee, like? Is that
Look at you.
No, that's actually no, that's not roasting. That's a different type of roasting. Shoot, my bad.
Here we go. Off the tangent now, but that's okay.
What's the nicest type of that was a joke, by the way. What's shit joke, but what's the nicest type of coffee you've tried?
Oh shit. Okay. Okay. So that there are a couple of very very nice coffees that I've had. I've tried so many, but right now a few come to mind. Okay, so I went a couple of months ago to the Brussels Coffee Week and in Brussels. So basically, for the crack, I just needed to get out of Dublin, and I found it. Oh, cheap flights to Brussels. Oh, and there's a Brussels Coffee Week. Fuck it, let's go to Brussels. Yeah. And then I think I was the only one in Europe who flew from another country to Brussels for the Brussels Coffee Week, because I was getting to every single place like, hi, I'm here for the Brussels Coffee Week, and people are looking at me like, what? And they didn't even know people, taking part in the whole thing. And dude, I had like 2 filter coffees over there, which were outstanding. One filter coffee was from Colombia, roasted by the guy who gave me the coffee. And it was in a coffee shop called Velvet in Brussels. And there was another filter from Kenya or something like that, from Rwanda, that I tasted in a coffee shop called Or Coffee in Brussels as well. Oh. One of the best coffees I've had in 2018 was a coffee from Colonna Coffee Roasters, which I think Colonna is, people will kill me if I don't know where Colonna is, but I think Colonna is in Sweden, Copenhagen, somewhere over there, sorry. But this guy, he has been like champion in different things and whatever. He's pretty famous in the coffee community, I'm sorry. Maxwell Colonna, it's his name. And one of the guys that I was judging in what it's called the National Brewers Cup, it's a competition to make filter coffee. And this guy gave us a coffee from Costa Rica roasted by these guys from Colonna Coffee Roasters. And holy shit. This guy described, when you compete, you have to describe what the judges will taste. So you have to talk and do your stuff at the same time. And the guy said something like mangoes. I remember like he said mango. Okay. You will taste mango. And I, right, fuck it. And then when you taste the coffee, I was like, holy shit. I actually, you have to fill a score sheet that you will give to him.
Yeah.
I put happy faces and everything, and I gave him a really good feedback. So that coffee was really good.
Yeah.
But how do you even get out the flavors in coffee? I heard you have to like put it in your mouth, put it to the top of your mouth.
Well, it obviously it takes a lot of practice,
Yeah.
and even sometimes you might even get really close to throw up, but you don't do it. But
I'm just tasting the coffee.
yeah, it's fucking horrible because it's different. There is a big difference between tasting espresso
Yeah.
and tasting filter coffee. Filter
Yeah.
coffee, it's super easy, but you get fucking high, dude. You drink like 3 filters and you're flying.
Jesus, yeah.
And you're flying. Espressos, you get a little bit sick. So if you drink like 4 or 5 espressos, they go to your head immediately, and then you're like, give me a toilet because I need to throw up immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I suggest people all the time, if you're tasting filtered coffee, so you take your first sip, goes in, that's your first impression. You always need a second impression. So the second time you will take a sip, you kind of leave it for a second. Sometimes you let it fall on the side of your mouth. Okay, so let it this part of your tongue should actually touch the coffee. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you swallow. So when you do that, there's a change in flavors. There's a peak in acidity. The sweetness changes a little bit. And the flavors that you got in the beginning probably are complemented by other flavors. Yeah. And then that's how you kind of evaluate the consistency of the coffee. Is it balanced? Is it not balanced? I should have brought a coffee. I feel like I should have had a coffee right here, right now. I've been tasting so much coffee today that I'm like, fuck that. Yeah, fuck that.
And what's the story? If you obviously drink a lot of coffee every day.
Yeah, to the point that when I don't drink coffee, I get like the worst withdrawal ever. Like,
Really?
I feel
Are
like
withdrawals
shit. Yeah, oh man,
Are they real?
Horrible. Like I might be off. Let's pretend I'm off today. Wake up late. I eat breakfast because I need to survive. So I just get a breakfast, and I might get breakfast. Let's say 9 or 10 a.m. and I can go back to bed. If I don't drink coffee, I can go back to bed and fall asleep like if I didn't sleep at all the night before. And then I wake up after 2 hours and I'm dying. I have headache. I feel sick. I feel dizzy. I feel whatever.
Yeah.
And then like around 2-3 p.m. that I'm like dying or whatever, I realize, oh yeah, of course I didn't get a coffee today. It's mine, but it's part of my job. It's to taste coffee every morning.
That's
so
not
I'm
bad.
pretty
It's a sacrifice
wired.
you make.
I am pretty wired every day at 9 a.m. So it's
That's
fun.
not a bad job. Like, just
By the
drinking
way,
coffee.
we should go out for a coffee crawl eventually,
Oh,
which
definitely.
might end,
Never say no, yeah.
might end in a pub crawl. There's no, there cannot be any discussions about that. But it's kind of like you get super, super hyper, and then we need something to chill down, and then we go. Perfect. I love it. So yeah.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
And you were saying that people have to describe the taste of the coffee that the judges are actually going to get. Is that for to make sure that it's not an accident, the flavor, so you know what you're giving people? Or
Well, when you are competing, you might try to fool people's minds a little bit.
Oh, like
so you will
placebo.
get this. So you're performing. So
Yeah.
you will get this and you will get that. Please take note. When you take the first sip, you will experience this and that. And then if you smell, you will get. So you're kind of like tricking people's minds a little bit.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, you are the judge.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like get yourself, forget about what he said,
Yeah.
and then just go and objectively
Okay.
evaluate the coffee,
yeah,
okay?
Interesting.
But then it's kind of like if you tell me, oh, the coffee that you're tasting, it's from Ethiopia, and it's a coffee that is like this, and it's growing, I already have an idea what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of know, and if what I'm tasting goes way off what I'm expecting, it has two options: either the coffee shit or the coffee it's unbelievable, because I'm like, my god, I'm getting something completely different
This is much
from
better
what
than-
this is much better than what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the wow factor that
Okay.
judges are now. Here goes the news for today. I joined this year the Irish Brewers Cup, so I'm competing the last week of January for the first time, because I've done almost every other competition, but never the Brewers Cup. So I've been a judge 2 times. I'm competing this year in January. So let's do it. Let's do it.
Do you think you have like an innate advantage? You know what they're looking for as a judge yourself?
Well, some people tell me that it's actually a good thing that I judged the whole thing 2 times before I actually decided to compete.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's all good.
Okay, that's fantastic.
What's wrong with you? There's someone at the door. Well, then go open it. Let them in.
Some creature is
How are
entering the
people doing
audio
over
house.
here?
Oh, so
Yeah.
can we just
How's
go
the
and
light?
check over there?
Yeah, go for it.
Over here. So we have 5 people.
You.
And hey guys, how you doing? We've been talking for a while now. I actually don't even know. If you have any questions, just
How long?
It's been 40.
submit your questions, and
40.
then we're gonna just keep filming over here, okay? So just let me know.
Yeah.
Say hello, guys, from back there.
How we doing?
Andre.
How's it going? Is Andre on it?
Yeah,
Andre's on it.
Andre's-
Yeah.
Hey, Andre.
Yeah, just say hello, of course. Well, so we have an audience today. So.
Here, Alex, close that door as well, if you can. But yeah.
So I'm very curious to know if this conversation has been way too serious,
No,
or
it's
if
good.
we are,
It's
if
good.
we're doing well.
This has been fantastic.
really
Yeah,
good.
this has been our one of our best flows. Yeah,
I feel this is fucking, like a fucking lecture in Trinity College or something. And I'm like, should I shut up or
Oh
something?
man, don't worry. This is a lot better than a lecture at Trinity College.
I had another question for you, and it is, what sort of conditions does coffee have to be in to grow in the best, to its greatest potential? If you get me. Does it have to be dry, or what sort of rainfall?
Oh, brilliant! I'll fire back with another question. So, where do you think coffee grows?
Rainforest.
Tropics.
Tropics. So
Yeah.
good, my fuck.
Nice.
You did the homework. So yeah,
I did.
coffee
Yes.
coffee grows in the tropical region, okay? And what happens with us in the tropical region? I am coming from a country fucking 30 degrees all year round,
Yeah.
okay? So what happens with us? We don't have seasons. We don't have winter, we don't have snow, okay? And when it rains, it really rains. Like we get proper thunderstorm kind of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
not this stupid rain that lasts for fucking 1 week and then it never stops. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe those, and we don't have drastic change in the temperature. So maybe those are the perfect conditions for coffee to grow. And on top of everything, coffee grows at higher altitudes.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a template climate.
Okay.
Yeah. So coffee grows above 800 meters above sea level, depending on the variety.
Interesting. So interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been watching Narcos Mexico, and I don't know if you've been watching it. Have you seen
I
it?
haven't, but I do. I have
Holy
to start.
shit.
I
But
have
the
to
way
start.
the way they grow, it's about the cartel, the weed cartel,
Yes.
and the sort of climate for the people that have seen it.
Yeah.
The sort of climate that they grow the weed plants in is so interesting because it's in the middle of a desert,
Okay.
and you need to find water. So
And they're struggling to find water.
how the fuck
so-
do you? But there's some ecologists or something
Okay,
that kind of
okay.
found this mountain and it has loads of water under it. But how do you access the water? And I won't spoil anymore because that's already a lot of
Yes.
spoilers.
Okay.
but-
Spoilers free, please.
Spoiler
Well,
alert.
It depends. It depends because like some countries will be in dense, heavy
Yeah.
rainforest, like I don't know, Sumatra.
Okay.
Or like Colombia, Central America. It rains a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you have some dry areas as well, parts of Brazil
Yeah.
and parts of Central Africa. So what these people do is that sometimes they will process the coffee in a different way. They
Okay.
don't wash them; they just let them dry like
Yeah,
that, and so
yeah.
on. So, I mean, there's always a way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And this has always interested me. Where is the actual origin of the coffee plant? Where's the place that it actually
Okay.
came
Did you
from?
do the research on this one as well? Or
Not at all.
Okay,
No.
so there are different theories, but the
Okay.
one that the coffee community believes that happened, and I actually teach about this all the time as well, is that there is a legend called the myth of Caldi. And Caldi was a shepherd who started to realize that his goats were going crazy after eating fruits from a tree. Okay. And he thought that these fruits were cursed. It's something like he took them to the local monks or something.
Yeah.
The monks also thought, you see, I'll have to bring you some coffee fruits. And the monks also thought that the fruits were cursed, and they put them in the fire. And then after a few minutes of putting the cherries in the fire, they started to get the aroma of what we all know today as roasted coffee. So they were accidentally roasting the coffee.
Yeah.
And then apparently they put water into that, and that's when we created the first cup of coffee. And of course, they were monks just like you guys, and they started to realize that by drinking this shit, they could stay awake until late and write their manuscripts and stuff.
Excellent. Yeah.
So that's technically what happened. The story of Kaldi and his crazy goats. So
that's
it, by the way, that apparently that happened in Ethiopia around the 11th century.
That's fantastic. I had no idea. That's like my entire life has been changed.
It's been changed like that, and monks. I see. We also connected coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine all it takes.
But actually, like for real, if you can later just read a little bit about that. It's just hilarious to see. And it's like, that's what we technically believe that happened. So
the first people to try coffee
were the monks, technically.
Yeah.
And they were trying to burn the curse out of the plants.
Well, actually, the goats.
Actually, the goats. So, I don't know if you remember.
We took that away from them, Jesus.
No, because I don't know if you remember, but I did a kind of like a sign on one of the walls in Dublin Barista School. And it's funny, that this shit was there for like 2 years, and nobody was reading that ever. Yeah. And there was a sign on the wall that said, "Be grateful for the crazy goats." And people, like, the idea was like, there was like people like, these people are fucked up, what's wrong with them? Like, what's the story with the goats? So that we could actually say, oh, that's how coffee was discovered, thanks to goats. But nobody ever asked anything.
Ungrateful.
Anything.
What the fuck are these guys
The fuck are these guys smoking like?
Yeah, you don't imagine if we wrote "Thank the crazy goats" on the wall. Everyone would want to know.
Yeah, exactly. Come
on.
I mean, fuck him. Okay, very good. It's just that.
There we go. Any more questions for?
We have questions.
Do we have any
questions from?
Yeah, do you have a question?
I have a question. Is there much of a difference between Starbucks coffee and like your normal like independent coffee shop? Is there much to what? Is there much of a difference? Like, which coffee is better, an independent coffee shops?
That's a good question, but I'm not gonna focus it
get rid of this, guys.
from the question.
What's going on?
Like, which one is better? Okay.
So Alex just asked which coffee is better, Starbucks coffee or like independent coffee.
Yeah, Alex is getting fired next week.
Okay, so Alex, are you working for Starbucks? No. Okay, so I am not.
Java coffee every day though.
Oh yeah, I do.
Huge fan.
Oh, do you? Oh, nice. I'll tell that to my bosses. So, I'm gonna focus that answer from a perspective, not which one it's better. I'm gonna explain to you who does what. Okay. Yeah. So, Starbucks being a franchise, okay, and I hopefully this doesn't go viral and like Starbucks just end up like crucifying me. But Starbucks, it's a franchise.
Gotta get the goats after you.
Yes, exactly. I'll be sacrificed with a bunch of goats in the middle of a desert or something. But they are a franchise, okay, and in order to be such a big franchise like Starbucks is, you have to mass produce coffee.
Yeah.
And I need to serve the same thing to you here, and I need to serve the same thing to you in Tokyo. How do I do that? How do I guarantee that you will get the same? How do I guarantee that you will get the same Big Mac everywhere?
Economies of scale.
Exactly. Yeah. So what happened? In order to mass produce coffee, you have to go darker in the way how you roast the coffee. Okay? Why? Because when you roast the coffee a little bit lighter, according to the Specialty Coffee Association, you preserve some of the flavors from the plant. Okay. You obtain higher levels of sweetness, better levels of acidity. The bitterness is not so high, and so on. So technically, you get a better cup of coffee. Okay, but
from Starbucks or from
no. I'm not there yet. So what I'm telling you is that franchises will roast very dark. Okay, in order to mass produce coffee and to kind of like standardize the whole thing. Okay, but if you roast, what I'm telling you is if you roast a little bit less dark, The Specialty Coffee Association determined that we get better stuff, better aromas, better flavors. We preserve some of the things, but it's more difficult to control, to standardize everything. What happens in that moment? You need trained baristas. You need good equipment. You need professionals. You need to understand extraction. You need to understand how not to burn the fucking coffee, and so so it's more difficult to standardize everything.
Like beans are different sizes.
Correct, everything. So what happens? The specialty coffee industry, smaller independent coffee shops are in that niche over there, okay? And that's some of what we do. So we have to train people in order for them to understand what's happening. Okay, understand what's happening. When you go to Starbucks, and this is a fact, I'm not saying anything that's just off the record or something. You go to Starbucks and you will see the baristas pressing a button, and then you just put the milk underneath and you press another button. So pretty much the machine does everything for you. And when you see the beans, just pay attention, you'll be able to see it. When you see the coffee, the beans on top of the machine, they will look extremely dark. They will look black. When you cross that barrier to really black coffee, you lose some of those flavors, you lose some of that aromas, and you develop what we call over roasted coffee or something like that, which will be like burnt flavors, smoky, ashes, tobacco, burnt wood, burnt chocolate, things like that. That if you stay a little bit earlier, depending where the coffee's coming from, you can get shit like caramel, toffee, butterscotch, chocolates, things like that. So which one is nicer? That's up to you.
Whatever you're into. If you like ashes, then. If you like caramel.
You know I love my ashes pop.
I might ask for one of them later, okay? Not a spare.
We have our answer. Yeah. Nicole,
Was there any questions there? No.
I think
Let's check if we have any other questions over here, because they would
I just say it took all of my soul not to say.
so Andre's saying hiya, boys.
Hey, Andre.
Hi, Andre.
What's
I
up,
don't know
bro?
if you're still there. And I don't know who's here. So, guys, for those of you joining us right now, we are here recording a podcast with the guys from Monks in the Truck. Woo! Yeah. So we're here with James and with Mikola, with Jack and
Alex.
With Alex here, we
That's
have
me.
we have one audience member today. No, you can come in. So if you have any questions, just please make sure you share your questions.
Alex, you're actually so
Nobody
crazy.
is asking anything, but we're gonna keep here. So I have a question from Jer. Jer, it's a guy. Saludos desde Venezuela. Hola, ¿qué tal? So they're saying hi.
You can put this camera with you. Look, Luis. You can rotate that to yourself, and you can talk over there.
Rotate this to myself so that people can actually hear me here in the podcast. So they're saying hi from Venezuela. So somebody's asking me to recommend a filter for Christmas. Damn, that's a tough one. What have I been tasting lately? Let me think, Jer, for a second. I'll get back to you on that one, because I've been tasting like crazy coffees in the last few days. Okay, like I tasted one coffee that I got a sample from the UK. I'm sorry, I'm off camera over here. I had a sample from the UK for my competition. And the coffee was insane. Of course, I'm not spoiling anything so that people don't know which coffee I'm going to be tasting. There's some really nice coffees there from Calendar Coffee in Galway. Okay, so these are some micro roasters from Galway. And but a couple of the coffees that I've tried are from abroad. So I can recommend Supremo Coffee Roasters from Munich. I had a tasting session with Origin from London, or from the UK. I don't know if they're from London. And if I remember any other one, I'll let you know, Jer.
Sweet.
Yeah.
This is a great conversation, by the way.
Yeah, man, it's been so fucking deep. Like I didn't know we were gonna go into so specific subjects. You know,
we had to find out about coffee. You know, we had to really go
We're
deep.
curious. Very curious.
And what's I had one more question, just for the. What do you think about like Starbucks frappuccinos?
Well, like,
I have a question.
is that a controversial question? Like, no, but Mikola, like, my answer will be that I'm not drinking coffees with milk, not because of any crazy situation. I just don't enjoy them anymore. So, I would say that if you put a gun in my head and you ask me to go to Starbucks, probably I'll end up getting some shit like that, some
Yeah.
frappuccino or something
Yeah.
on a warm day. But my heart will be with my first family, the guys from Butler's Chocolate. So instead of having a frappuccino in Starbucks, I'll get an ice mocha in Butler's Chocolate
Good
or
choice.
something like that.
Good choice.
Yeah.
And what about any cool coffee spots that people should go to around Dublin?
Good one. Okay, so I but like I go everywhere pretty much. Okay, so people will kill me out there, but like the first three that come to my mind are Clement and Pico on South William Street. I haven't got a bad coffee over there, and I really like Two Boys Brew in Fitzborough. I'm from the hood, Fitzborough. We love Fitzborough, represent north side. And there's Legit Coffee in Fitzborough as well.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. And then, dude, like from there, it just go crazy. Yeah, I mean, you can go crazy. Last week I was in Proper Order in Smithfield, and then we have Shoe Lane, which is on Tara Street. Of course, for coffee purists, we have 3FE and Grand Canal. Oh, live video pause. Reconnecting.
Oh, I think it was too long.
Oh, fine.
Just
fuck
play it again.
Fuck it. No, it's fine.
She.
And we're gonna save it just in case. Share.
What time is it?
And
No.
then that's fine.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we're now in now.
We're now in.
That went quicker than I thought.
It did
Did-
indeed.
yeah,
Are we
finish-
1 hour in?
Yeah,
We are
finish
1
your
hour.
story
Fucking
though.
way. Are
Yeah.
you serious?
Yeah, finish this. Go for it.
Okay, so coffees. So 3FE for coffee purists, and then we have a crazy amount of places. So we have 250 Square in Radmines, and we have Project Black in Ranelagh. We have
It's cool that you're saying all these different locations that people
Lo-
probably relate.
Yeah,
Love,
yeah,
Love
everyone's from
Supreme
anywhere.
in Stony Border. What else? Damn, I don't know. I can't
It's a
remember
fantastic
right now.
list.
Have you been to
There's a lot
Krispy
of
Kreme
places.
yet?
I haven't been to
No.
Krispy Kreme. Like
We tried
can.
the coffee there. It's actually
It's all right. It's
Alright.
fine. It's fine.
But you see, that's funny because in my case, I would go to places for food or desserts or whatever, and then
Yeah.
I would like, would coffee be nice over here?
Yeah.
No, I'll go somewhere else I'll get the donuts and then I'll go and get my coffee somewhere else.
Yeah.
I get you.
Something like that, you
Yeah,
know.
of course.
But, I mean,
coffee connoisseur.
coffee connoisseur or something like that. Yeah,
That's you.
that's me.
You're a little crazy coffee dude.
Crazy coffee, dude. Yeah, but then give me an Irish whiskey and I'm there.
Yeah,
as
you're
well.
doing a lot with Teeling as well.
Represent-
I am doing a lot with whiskey. But I think people started thinking that I was working for some reason for Tilling whiskey. No, I was
Really?
just a huge fan of the brand.
Yeah.
Huge
but-
fan of the whiskey.
of the we call it Irish Gold or something, and then Liquid Gold. And dude, I started. I talk about whiskey this way. So coffee, it's my passion. I teach about coffee and all of this, but whiskey, it's my hobby. So I started. That sounds so wrong, but I started learning about whiskey. I've been to some tastings as well.
Wow.
I've done different tours, and I do want to do. You know what? It would be amazing to do like a road trip, but visiting Irish distilleries.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Big
And
That'd be sweet. Like Jack, you went on a little road trip around Ireland recently, didn't you? I think that'd be cool.
Did you do just a plain road trip, or did you visit any whiskey places?
Oh no, it was just the scenery up west.
Just
Scenery,
up west.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to do like the Cork Middleton kind of thing, but you have
Yeah.
to stay over
Yeah.
there
It's
to
very good
visit
though.
all of that.
Set
And-
something like that up. Set up a
Yes.
little trip down the country.
And
Road-
I have 2 ideas. I have 3 ideas before we finish. So one idea would be to do kind of like a road trip, brewing coffee in the middle of nowhere with Irish scenery in the background. Okay,
Nice.
so that'll be idea. It's just talking
idea.
random bullshit about coffee or about whatever while we are brewing coffee in the middle of nowhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's very, very appealing. For personal reasons, I would love to do the whiskey stuff because it's not only really cool and exciting, but dude, talking about another industry that's growing like crazy, like the Irish whiskey industry. And the third one, it's like a more serious note, and I would love to do a documentary or a mini documentary about Venezuelan coffee and the struggle that people are having over there to try to produce coffee. So as everyone's aware, my country is going through a very, very difficult situation. But thankfully, I know some farmers that are struggling like hell, but they're trying to get their coffee out there.
Yeah.
So I would love to go and travel. I spent all my life in Venezuela and I never saw a coffee plant. I learned everything I know about coffee when I came here, and we were technically a big coffee producing country.
Yeah.
So I would love to go back, see what these people are doing, see the struggles that they're having, and just try to get that out. So
Yeah.
wish me luck.
It's fantastic.
Best of luck. I'm sure you'll be able to do it. It's especially with all the connections you have now in the coffee industry
exactly.
all over the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You made it. You made
Made
it.
it. That sounded like Pitbull all over the world. You know, Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it. Mr.
You're
Worldwide.
coffee people.
Oh yeah.
Here, I've called you so many things today.
Oh man, that's
I
great.
feel like a dick.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
But yeah, thanks so much for
nicknames.
coming on.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
really
Oh
great.
man, like I
Thanks
was
for
not
gracing us.
expecting this thing to go so fast, you know.
Yeah, it's
Brilliant,
madness, isn't
brilliant.
it?
Next time I won't be driving, and then we bring either whiskey or coffee. We mix them together. We make our own Irish
Irish
coffee.
coffee. That's what we
Sweet.
need.
Here. Okay, guys,
Exactly.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
See you next
All right,
week.
guys, we'll put all the relevant links in the description and shit. Check all this stuff out. See you next week. Bye.